So honestly, I don't want to spend very much time at all talking about this particular subject. But apparently this week they did air the last episode of season whatever the hell this is of The Bachelor. And I have to say that I'm actually really surprised to see that Rachael Kirkconnell even bothered showing up for this last episode at all. So admittedly, I'm a little bit of a neophyte in all things related to the Bachelor. I have never given a shit about this show in the past, and by point of fact, I really don't give much of a shit about it right now. And as I have come to understand it, filming on the show actually wraps quite a bit before the final episode is actually aired. And so sometimes, I think, well, like 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is, they wrap the filming, and at that point, it basically becomes public knowledge who actually was chosen at the end of the season. And so it was actually known well in advance of the airing of the last episode of this show that Matt James had chosen this Rachael Kirkconnell. And he had chosen her despite this cancel culture outrage regarding some party that she had gone to in college. Something with what we would call a very distant and remote connection to anything even resembling racism. But she was canceled all the same. And so this week they finally aired what you would call like the post-season special with Rachael Kirkconnell and Matt James. And this year it was obviously more than a little bit awkward because by the time that they went ahead and actually even filmed this special, they were already broken up. Matt James had already left her, had already thrown her under the bus, which I think honestly kind of shows us exactly what kind of person Matt James is. He chose her in this show to have a relationship with her, because we were all supposed to believe that he loved Rachael Kirkconnell. And then the very next thing that he does is he throws her under the bus. And at his very first opportunity, just, okay, out with you, there you go, goodbye now. And so now we were left with this, this absolutely just sad, this pathetic spectacle of a grown woman offering a grown man an apology for something that didn't actually harm him, and he actually rejected the apology. And not only did he reject the apology, but she tried to give him a hug, to console him for the, for the enormous pain that she's allegedly caused him, and he refused the hug. Like, wow. And really, I think to understand exactly just how sad and pathetic that whole thing is, you actually have to understand exactly what it was that Rachael Kirkconnell did. All Rachael Kirkconnell did was she went to a party where she dressed up like she was from a time and place where slavery did happen to exist. But nobody showed up there dressed as slaves. Nobody showed up there. It wasn't like anybody went out and did something absurd like, hired somebody to come and play act, as a slave at this party. All they did was they showed up in costumes from a time and a place where slavery did happen to exist. This is basically what Rachael Kirkconnell did wrong. Well, sorry, let me correct that. I'm not even convinced that Rachael Kirkconnell did do anything wrong. I'm not going to pretend that she did something right. Because I do agree that there's a certain distastefulness, to that kind of a party. But distastefulness is not a crime. It's definitely not something that befits ruining somebody's life. I mean, basically, this is what Rachael Kirkconnell did. Was she did the cancel culture equivalent of wearing white on Labor Day. And it was the cancel culture equivalent of wearing white on Labor Day that this Matt James couldn't look past. Not because it was actually such a terrible thing, but I think that because it gave him an excuse, to cash in, all of this newfound notoriety that he has as a result of having been on TV. Basically, the dude is a disloyal cad. And I gotta tell you, whichever woman it is that rolls the dice on this guy next, good luck to you. I think you're gonna need it.